Salutations everyone, welcome to another Overwatch video where today we're going to be focusing on your girl D.Va and the changes that obviously went through in the last patch. Mostly a nerf. I think most people would consider her changes to be a nerf because of what it does to Defense Matrix, which was such an important tool in Overwatch, especially the higher level on competitiveness you go, shutting down fire rockets and helping with the recent Junkrat spam and all kinds of projectiles, eating up ults, good things like that. So you're not going to be able to rely so much on that alt click in order to get maximum value out of D.Va. She still does have Defense Matrix, and I'm glad they kind of reverted a little bit on their changes, because the way that they neutered Defense Matrix first off in the PTR was a bit much, and I feel like it's in a good spot right now. I mean, it's not long enough to disable like an entire soldier sites or Pharah rocket barrage or something like that, but you can still get a high noon, eat a graviton, or a snowball, or a pulse bomb. So obviously the other big change was the addition of the tiny micro missiles, and they don't pack a big of a punch. That was kind of toned down on the opposite side as well. And they do make a huge impact, but obviously I think the biggest change is the ability to use your fusion cannons mid-flight. That was such a big change. It's way bigger than micro missiles. Micro missiles, has a bit of a delay, does a very little amount of damage, but against a big body, an enemy D.Va that doesn't have Defense Matrix, or Zarya that doesn't have a bubble, Reinhardt who's facing the other way or has broken shield, or a squishy trapped in a corner, you could do some pretty hefty damage with those micro missiles, and it is a nice way to finish things off, to start engagements, to do a bit more barrier damage in the barrier battle. But the ability to use your primary fire while flying is the biggest change to the amount of DPS that she can put out. And it's huge, it's absolutely huge, especially with the changes that went over to Mercy. I was hoping that, now that D.Va can shoot on the fly, literally, that she will be a better answer to Mercy than she was before, especially with Mercy being so much stronger. And indeed she is. She's a very good answer. She could actually, even though Defense Matrix, was nerfed, she's better against Pharahs now. You won't be able to absorb as much damage, but fly up, get those missiles off. Obviously, you're not going to hit every single one, but your fusion cannon damage while you're flying is going to usually be more than enough to take care of the business. Obviously, if it's, it's a far Mercy, that's going to be a little bit more tricky, but she's better at hunting down Mercies. She's better hunting down really any squishies when they're vulnerable. Fly in with a Defense Matrix and stop a McCree when he tries to stun you, thinking that that's his only way out, and then you rocket him and fusion cannon him to doom. Obviously, if you get the engagement right and you know where he is, and you don't get stunned right away like it did just there like a punk. But just the sheer amount of DPS that D.Va can put out now is astronomically different when it comes to what kind of role that she plays. So now she's very much more DPS, less tank, because now she can do more damage, and she can't absorb as much with her Defense Matrix changes, and the micro missiles, and the ability to shoot while flying is huge. So you'll be able to just do so much chunk damage at the beginning of a flight when you're hunting down a Mercy or a soldier running away, or a Genji that doesn't have deflect. That changes the encounter so much, because the micro missiles are kind of a nice way to finish a chase, or once they've cornered themselves after maybe you boop them into a corner. Obviously you want to fly with your fusion cannons out, finish it with the melee, and then missiles to finish them off. And see, right there in that Tracer encounter, obviously I didn't get the kill, and the McCree got the final say, but the micro missiles were a huge factor that would not have had that engagement been very much in my favor in the previous patch. So the best way to maximize the damage with D.Va is, like, obviously, using them while you're flying, getting up in their face with defense matrix, going in with the missiles to initiate and then maybe fly in. You know, all depends on the situation, you know, where you can trap them. Obviously, you know, the missiles have a tiny bit of splash damage, so yes, it can do damage to you, but if you can trap your opponents in a corner or something like that, then those micro missiles are going to do the maximum amount of damage. And you can use your defense matrix in most of the same situations. Obviously not going to be able to have it as long, so you're going to have to be a bit more smart with how you use it. You're not going to be able to mitigate, you know, long range Pharah spam or Junkrat spam nearly as much, but with the prevalence of Junkrat at all levels now, her defense matrix is still quite useful, even though you won't be able to use it nearly as much as maybe you were used to or would like to. So, you know, with those concussion mines out there, you're going to have to absorb those. So Junkrat's kind of, you know, getting a bit of a panic when they get jumped on, so they'll throw out those concussion mines. So that's an easy way to just eat that up with the defense matrix. And then the missiles, you know, he doesn't really have many options to go anywhere very quickly, even with his concussion mine, because D.Va is just now the bounty hunter. She is, when people call her Zero Suit D.Va when she's out of mech, and she is a bounty hunter now. She's absolute killing machine. Sure, not as tanky, but of course, you know, the best D.Vas know how to position themselves well, and, you know, they can get to their healers fairly quickly. They do give defense matrix, and they can obviously always fly away when that situation is possible. Otherwise, you're just out here with your pistol trying to do some damage to some Torbjorn turrets. But obviously with the Mercy changes, you know, obviously when you get rezzed, you'll be able to get right back into mech. So both Mercies and D.Vas are going to have to be a little bit more careful on when those D.Vas get rezzed, because they're going to have to take the time to get back into their mech, and that could just be another easy insta-kill. It's not like you're rezzing a Roadhog who can just take a breather or, you know, something like that. And she doesn't, you know, have any iframes during that animation. She could get killed before she gets into mech, stunned before she gets into mech. We know that those ult changes are here now. It's where if you get stunned while you're trying to call mech, then you're gonna have to wait for that call mech ult to charge again. And here's just completely just trivializing what the Junkrat could do to the teammate. I tried to fly in and finish the kill, but unfortunately Mercy can still heal more than almost any hero can dish out themselves. But when it comes to either be on the attack or the defense, it does pay off a bit more now to be aggressive with D.Va, especially since you don't have the responsibility to use defense matrix as much. You know, you're going to have to use it in the right situations, you know, when it's called for, when you know that they have, you know, grav or something like that. But D.Va can do, she's so much more useful in so many more niche situations now. So, you know, she's not going to be able to do the same things with defense matrix, but the fact that she can fly with the fusion cannons, and the fact that she can use her micro missiles while defense matrixing, gives her kind of like an invulnerability state where she's dealing damage and can't get hurt by most means of damage. Obviously, Zarya is still going to be a problem. You know, Winston, you know, Tesla, Lightning as well. But like you saw me do with the Torbjorn, you can defense matrix the turret and missile rockets the turret to destroy it without taking much damage to yourself. And if that's not enough, your fusion cannons will be able to take things from there. And also when it comes to somebody entrenched, whether they're on a perch sniping someone spamming Junkrat bombs from above, it's really easy to fly in with missiles, and then after that, either going into your defense matrix during the missiles when that your target starts to fight back, or go to your fusion cannons after that. So it's not very difficult to figure out when and where you need to defense matrix or mini missiles or fusion cannon. But it's going to take a little bit of you getting used to, and it honestly doesn't take all that much. And the way that she now can synergize with her teammates really hasn't changed. She's just going to be able to do a little bit more damage, protect her teammates a bit more with the flight capabilities. She won't be able to protect as much with defense matrix, obviously, but with those missiles and the ability to fly with the fusion cannons is going to make such a big difference in peeling for your team. So you're not going to be able to peel in so much a defensive way, but in an offensive way, which you know, we are used to in other heroes as well. So she is definitely more. I mean, D.Va's always been fantastic. She's always been my favorite mech to play, and I usually have pretty decent results with her. I think along with Zarya, you know, those are my best two tanks when it comes to, you know, consistent results. But with these new changes, I think we can have a little bit more consistency in more lineups where there's less communication and less focus fire, because now D.Va can do a little bit of focus fire all by herself. She's not as vulnerable with only that one means of doing damage. Like I said, the ability to use your fusion cannons while flying is the biggest difference in the amount of damage that D.Va can now deal, and it is quite significant. It may not seem like it. We know we've all seen D.Vas kind of poke at the choke with their fusion cannons, and it doesn't do much damage. But if you're hitting all those shots and you're hitting a few in the head, as you're going to be, because you can boost pretty quickly in this game and not many people are going to be able to run away from you, all those shots, you know, going into the body and or the head is going to be huge chunk damage to make Squishy's life a living hell, similar, if not better, to akin to what a Winston can do to certain Squishies, where he can pounce on them, you know, leap, melee before hitting the ground, doing that damage, and then finishing them off with the cannon. D.Va can kind of dive in a similar fashion now that she can, you know, fire the micro missiles as well as her fusion cannons while she is flying. The timing of the micro missiles doesn't take that much to get used to. You don't have to really fire a couple of times before it becomes second nature, and obviously, you know, what the cooldown time is, because it's a brand new ability. You know, it's going to become second nature eventually for you. And, you know, D.Va Bomb, you know, obviously hasn't changed in how you apply that. We are going to have to be a bit more careful when it comes to getting back into our mechs, since now if we get stunned out of it, we're basically dead to rights, because we can't just, you know, use that ult charge again with the changes that have been made to that. But just the sheer ability to hunt down those Anas, you know, as long as you can defense matrix that sleep dart, and hunt down those Mercies, as long as they're not in Valkyrie form. You know, D.Va can't do that much damage, because, man, that Valkyrie form is the tankiest thing in the game, feels like. The ability to kind of do similar things to Winston, but with a bit more tankiness to it, because you do still have that defense matrix. While, you know, if you're not placing your bubble correctly, or if you have leap on cooldown with Winston, he can become quite vulnerable to be focused. Obviously, D.Va can be focused as well, even if she does have defense matrix, because it's only gonna, you know, be an omnidirectional thing, or unidirectional thing. You are gonna have to be careful. You can't just go bonsai in there and then have defense matrix save you, especially since the timing is a lot less than it used to be. But you're gonna be getting more kills. You're gonna be able to hunt down those healers, and I think D.Va is gonna have a bigger impact in more ways, and obviously a much less significant impact on defense matrix play. But if you play your cards right, a D.Va can be absolutely insane in this new version.